I was standing in the boardroom of Hartwell Family Construction, watching 25 years of my life get flushed down the drain because I wasn't real family. The words still echo in my head sometimes, especially when I'm alone in my truck at the end of a long day. My name is Marcus Sullivan, but everyone calls me Mac. I'm 49 years old, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about loyalty and family. Turns out I was dead wrong about both. See, when I was 16, my parents died in a car crash on Highway 35 just outside Fort Worth. Robert Hartwell, the owner of Hartwell Construction, took me in. Not officially adopted me or anything, but gave me a home, a job, and what I thought was a family. I worked every summer on his crews, learned the business from the ground up. Concrete, steel, electrical, plumbing, you name it, I could handle it. 25 years later, I was COO of the company. We had 800 employees, pulled in about $180 million a year, building everything from shopping centers to highways across Texas. I knew every foreman by name, every supplier's phone number by heart, and every state official who mattered in our industry. That morning started normal enough. Coffee at 5:30, check the weather for our job sites, review the schedules with Carlos Mendez, my best foreman. We had a big day coming up. Final negotiations on a $45 million highway contract with Texas State. 18 months of work, 12 miles of new highway outside Dallas. I'd spent 8 months building relationships with the state officials, making sure every detail was perfect. The project had a key person clause. Standard stuff in construction. If something happens to the main guy, the client can walk away. Made sense. These state people wanted to know I'd be there personally overseeing every mile of asphalt. Around 10 a.m., Robert called a family meeting. Not unusual. We did those quarterly to discuss business, but this time felt different. Bradley Hartwell was there. Robert's biological son, 35 years old, fresh back from New York with his Wharton MBA and an attitude that could frost your windshield in July. Bradley had been gone for 15 years. College, then working for some big construction firm up north, making what he called real money on Manhattan high-rises. Never once showed interest in the family business until Daddy started talking about retirement. Mac, Roberts said, adjusting his reading glasses like he always did when delivering bad news. We need to talk about succession planning. I figured this was it, finally getting the recognition I'd earned. 25 years of 60-hour weeks, building this company from 50 employees to 800. I'd restructured our operations, modernized our equipment, brought in the biggest contracts in company history. But Bradley cleared his throat and dropped the hammer. Actually, Mac, we think it's best if you step aside. This transition needs to be clean, family-focused, no offense, but you're not really family. The room went quiet, except for the air conditioning humming overhead. Margaret Hartwell, Bradley's mother and Robert's second wife, nodded along like this made perfect sense. Robert just stared at his hands. "Excuse me?" I said, adjusting my hard hat brim, old habit when I'm processing something that doesn't compute. "Look, you've done great work," Bradley continued, all business school confidence. "But modern succession planning requires clear lines of authority. Family businesses fail when there's ambiguity about leadership. You'll always be, well, outside the bloodline. It creates complications." I looked at Robert, this man who'd given me everything when I had nothing, who'd taught me to read blueprints, how to negotiate with suppliers, how to treat workers with respect. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "The highway contract I started. We'll handle it." Bradley cut me off. "I've got experience with large infrastructure projects. The relationship stuff is just old school thinking. These days it's all about efficiency and proper project management." That's when it hit me. They were serious. After 25 years, I was being pushed out by a kid who hadn't set foot on a job site since high school shop class. The thing about Robert was, he'd always been torn between two worlds. The old-school construction boss who believed in handshake deals and taking care of your people, and the businessman who felt pressure to modernize, to think about legacy and bloodlines. Margaret had been working on him for months, I realized, talking about how the company needed to stay in the family, how bringing Bradley back was the responsible thing to do. "When do you want me gone?" I asked, keeping my voice level. No point getting emotional when the foundation's already cracked. "End of the month gives us time for transition," Bradley said, like he was doing me a favor. I stood up, pulled out my phone, and called Tommy Garrett at Texas State Highway Department. Put it on speaker so everyone could hear. "Tommy, Mac Sullivan. We need to discuss the highway project." "Hey Mac, what's up? We're all set for final signatures tomorrow, right?" there's been a change. I'm no longer with Hartwell Construction effective immediately. Dead silence on the phone. Then what do you mean you're no longer with them? Mac, this whole contract is structured around your involvement. The key person clause, I understand. You'll need to discuss next steps with the company's new leadership. Mac, hold on. If you're not managing this project, we need to seriously reconsider. Our confidence in this contract was based on your track record, your relationships with our team. Without you. I ended the call and looked around the room. Bradley's face had gone pale. Margaret looked confused. Robert finally looked up. What did you just do? Bradley asked. I followed your instructions. You wanted me gone, I'm gone, but that contract you think you can handle. It's dead. Tommy Garrett won't sign with anyone but me, and the key person clause gives them the right to walk away if I'm not involved. The next hour was chaos. Phone calls, desperate meetings, Bradley trying to convince state officials he could handle everything just as well. But Tommy had worked with me for 5 years. He knew I delivered on time, under budget, and without the political drama that kills public projects. By noon, it was official. Texas State was withdrawing from the contract. $45 million gone because Bradley thought an MBA trumped 25 years of relationship building. I cleaned out my office while the panic spread through the building. 25 years of my life packed into 2 cardboard boxes. Photos with construction crews, awards for safety records, thank you letters from clients. My hands shook slightly as I wrapped up the picture of me and Robert at the groundbreaking for the new Arlington High School. That was 3 years ago, back when I still believed I mattered to this family. Diana was in her 2nd grade classroom when I called. They did what? She said when I explained the morning. Cut me loose. After everything, Mac, we've got Jason starting his senior year at Texas Tech, Sarah's tuition at UT. The mortgage, your truck payment. I know, I twisted my wedding ring, another old habit when stress hits, but maybe this is a blessing. Maybe it's time to build something of our own. She was quiet for a long moment. At 49, Mac, we're not kids anymore. We can't just start over and hope it works out. That hit harder than Bradley's dismissal. Deanna had supported every late night, every missed dinner, every weekend I'd spent building Hartwell Construction into what it became. Now she was questioning whether I had it in me to rebuild. That evening, the local news ran the story. Family feud costs 200 jobs at Hartwell Construction. Lisa Chen Williams from Channel 8 interviewed workers, leaving the building with their belongings. Men and women who trusted me to keep the company stable while they raised their families and planned for retirement. By the end of the week, Hartwell had announced the layoffs. Carlos called me, voice tight with worry. Mac, they're cutting 200 people. 20-year guys, good workers with families. Wayne Potter, Jim Rodriguez, Sarah Martinez, all gone. What are we supposed to do? I'd been thinking about that since Tuesday. Carlos, how many of our guys would be willing to take a chance on something new? With you? All of them, Mac. Every damn one. But wanting to take a chance and being able to afford it were different things. I spent the next week driving around North Texas, talking to laid-off workers in their driveways, coffee shops, and VFW halls. These weren't young guys looking for adventure. They were men in their 40s and 50s with mortgages and kids heading to college, just like me. I'd follow you anywhere, Mac, said Jim Rodriguez, 52 years old with twin daughters starting at community college. But I gotta be honest, I can't afford to go 6 months without steady pay while we get something started. That was the reality check I needed. Starting a construction company wasn't just about having the skills and relationships. It was about having enough capital to carry payroll for months before the first contracts paid out. I met with my banker, Steve Morrison, at First National. We'd done business together for 15 years, and he knew my track record, but numbers don't lie. Mac, I believe in you, Steve said, reviewing my loan application, but you're talking about $250,000 in startup costs, plus operating capital for the first year. That's a big risk on a brand new company. I've got relationships, Steve. Tommy Garrett at the state, municipal contacts across North Texas, suppliers who trust me, I know. But the bank needs collateral. You were looking at a second mortgage on the house, and even then, we're talking about maybe half what you really need. I drove home through Arlington, past job sites where I'd spent years of my life. The new shopping center on Cooper Street where we'd worked through 2 ice storms to meet deadline. The office complex on Division where we'd pioneered a new foundation technique that became industry standard. Every project had my fingerprints on it, but none of them belonged to me. Diana was grading papers at the kitchen table when I got home. She looked up from a stack of math worksheets, pencil tucked behind her ear. "How bad is it?" she asked. "Bad enough. We can get maybe half the money I need if we risk the house." She set down her red pen and looked at me for a long time. "Mac, I've been thinking about what you said, about this being a blessing, and you've spent 25 years building someone else's dream. Maybe it's time you built your own." She reached across and took my hand. "The kids are almost grown. We've got some equity in the house, and I've been teaching for 15 years. My job's secure. Diana, if this fails, then we'll figure it out. But if you don't try, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what might have been. Besides," she smiled, "I married a man who could build a bridge out of toothpicks if he had to. I have faith in what you can do." That night I called Carlos, Wayne Potter, and 4 other key guys. We met at Rudy's BBQ on Saturday morning, sitting around a picnic table covered with construction plans and financial projections. "Here's the deal," I said, spreading out the numbers. "I can start Sullivan Construction Solutions with limited capital. That means small jobs at first. Maybe 6 months of thin paychecks while we build reputation and cash flow." Wayne leaned back in his chair. "What kind of small jobs?" "Municipal repair work, small commercial projects, maybe some residential if we get desperate. Not the big highway contracts we're used to, but honest work that pays the bills." Carlos nodded slowly. "Better than sitting at home waiting for Hartwell to maybe hire us back." "There's no maybe about it," said Tommy Williams, one of our best equipment operators. "Bradley's burning bridges faster than he can build them. Word is they've already lost the McKinney School District contract." 3 weeks later, I filed papers for Sullivan Construction Solutions, used most of our savings, took out a second mortgage, called in every favor I had. Deanna wasn't thrilled about the risk, but she knew I couldn't just walk away from those families depending on work. My first hire was Carlos, then Wayne Potter, our best project manager, then 8 more guys who'd been laid off from Hartwell. Word spread through the construction community. Max Sullivan was building something new. The first month was brutal. Working out of a rented office space in an industrial park off Highway 183, bidding on small municipal jobs, competing against companies that had been established for decades. Our equipment was mostly older stuff we'd bought used, and our office was 2 folding tables and a coffee pot that Diana had donated from her classroom. But we had something the bigger companies didn't. We knew how to work together, and we understood that relationships matter more than spreadsheets. Our first job was resurfacing the parking lot at Arlington Community Center. $12,000, barely enough to cover materials and 2 weeks of payroll. But it was honest work, and we finished it 3 days early with no change orders. The second job came from word of mouth. The community center director recommended us to the city parks department for some concrete repair work, $18,000 this time. Still small potatoes, but we were building reputation. 6 weeks in, Tommy Garrett called me directly. I was surprised to hear from him, figured the state highway department was done with me after the Hartwell mess. "Mac, I've been watching what you're doing with this new company," he said. "We've got a smaller project, $20 million bridge repair work outside Denton. It's a test run. Prove you can handle it with your new setup and bigger contracts will follow. $20 million, 10 times bigger than anything we'd bid so far, but I knew we could handle it. More importantly, I knew Tommy trusted us to deliver." "What's the timeline?" I asked. 8 months. I know it's tight, but the legislature's breathing down our necks about infrastructure maintenance. We need someone who can move fast without cutting corners. We bid the job at fair market price, not the lowest bid, but competitive. More importantly, we demonstrated something Hartwell couldn't anymore under Bradley's leadership: personal accountability. Every state official knew they could call me directly if something went wrong. The night we won the bid, Diana and I sat on our back porch with a couple of beers, watching the sunset over the neighborhood where we'd lived for 12 years. $20 million, she said, shaking her head. 6 months ago, you were just another employee. Now you're competing with companies that have been around for 50 years. Scared? I asked. Terrified, she admitted, but also proud. Jason called today. He heard about the contract from someone at school whose dad works construction. Said he's been bragging to his friends about his dad starting his own company. That meant more to me than the contract. My kids seeing their old man as someone who didn't just accept what life handed him, but fought for something better. We finished the Denton Bridge project 2 weeks early and $30,000 under budget. Tommy was impressed, but more importantly, other state officials started paying attention. Within 6 months, Sullivan Construction had 85 employees and was bidding on projects across North Texas. Meanwhile, Hartwell Construction was struggling. They'd lost 3 more major contracts, laid off another 150 workers, and their reputation in the state contracting community was shot. Bradley's modern efficiency approach had alienated the relationship-based network that Robert had spent 40 years building. Carlos kept me updated on the gossip. Word is they're having trouble making payroll, he told me over lunch at our usual taco place. Some of the guys still there say Bradley's spending more time in meetings with lawyers than on job sites. I felt bad for the workers still at Hartwell, but I couldn't deny a certain satisfaction that competence was winning over connections. The construction business in Texas runs on reputation, and Bradley had burned through his father's reputation in record time. 2 years in, we landed the biggest contract in Sullivan construction history, $60 million, to rebuild a section of Highway 380 from McKinney to Princeton. The same type of work Hartwell used to dominate, but now we were the preferred contractor because we'd proven ourselves on smaller projects. The day we signed that contract, I drove past the old Hartwell office building. Half the parking lot was empty, and there was a for lease sign on part of the building. Through the windows, I could see the reception area where I'd walked through every morning for 25 years, now mostly dark. I didn't feel vindicated or vengeful looking at that building. Mostly, I felt sad for what could have been if loyalty had meant something to the people I'd considered family. That afternoon, someone knocked on my office door. I looked up from reviewing the Highway 380 plans to see Bradley Hartwell standing in my doorway. He looked different. The Wharton arrogance was gone, replaced by something that might have been humility or desperation. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and he had the look of someone who hadn't been sleeping well. Word around the industry was that Hartwell Construction was maybe 6 months from bankruptcy. And here was the golden boy who'd caused it all, standing in the office of the man he'd thrown away. "Mac, we need to talk." I gestured to the chair across from my desk, the same type of metal folding chair we'd been using since we started. No fancy executive furniture in our office. We spent our money on equipment and wages. About what? I screwed up. Everything. The company, the family, the workers. Dad's health is failing, and we're 6 months from bankruptcy. Sorry to hear that, I said, meaning it. Robert's heart problems had started right after the layoffs began. Stress. The doctor said, but I wondered if it wasn't also guilt. I want to make it right. With you, with the workers, with everyone. What exactly are you proposing? Bradley took a deep breath, looking out the window at our equipment yard where 3 new excavators sat ready for the Highway 380 project. I want to work for you, learn from you, prove I can be more than just a name on a diploma. I studied him for a long moment. The kid who destroyed my life was sitting in my office asking for a job. Part of me wanted to send him packing, let him figure out his own way like I'd had to. But that wasn't the kind of man Robert had raised me to be, even if he'd forgotten those lessons himself. Entry level, I said finally. Same as everyone else starts. You'll work under Carlos, learn how we do things. No guarantees, no special treatment because of your last name. Understood? And Bradley? This isn't about revenge or proving points. This is about building something that lasts, treating people right, and keeping your word. You good with that? He nodded. Yes, sir. I spent the next 6 months watching Bradley learn what his MBA hadn't taught him. How to read a foundation plan, how to talk to workers without talking down to them, how to solve problems with a hammer and some ingenuity instead of a consultant report. Carlos was tough on him, but fair. By Christmas, Bradley was handling small projects on his own, and the crews had stopped treating him like the enemy. Around that same time, Robert Hartwell called me. His voice was weak. Tired, Mac. I need to say something I should have said 2 years ago. I was wrong. About the family thing, about the business, about everything. You were the son I should have protected, and I failed you. Robert, you gave me everything when I had nothing, but when it mattered most, when my blood family came calling, I chose wrong. I chose fear over loyalty, biology over heart. That's not the man I raised you to be, and it's not the man I wanted to be. We talked for an hour that night. About the early days when he'd taught me to operate equipment, about the projects we'd built together, about mistakes and forgiveness. It didn't undo what had happened, but it helped heal something that had been broken. I drove out to his house the next Sunday. We sat on his porch, watching the sunset over the land where I'd learned to operate my first bulldozer 30 years earlier. "The business is yours, if you want it," he said quietly. "What's left of it, anyway?" Bradley agrees. Says he's learning more from you in 6 months than he learned in 4 years of business school. "I don't want Hartwell Construction, Robert, but I want our relationship back." "Me too, son. Me too." Robert passed away 8 months later, heart attack, quick and painless according to the doctors. At the funeral, I was listed in the program as family. Diana and I sat in the front row with Bradley, Margaret, and the rest of the Hartwells. Margaret surprised me by asking if I'd speak at the service. I talked about Robert the mentor, the man who taught me that construction was about more than buildings. It was about creating something that would outlast all of us, about integrity, craftsmanship, and taking care of the people who trust you with their livelihoods. After the service, Bradley pulled me aside. "Mac, I've been thinking about what Dad said, about you deserving the company. I told you I don't want it. I know, but what if we merged? Hartwell Construction becomes part of Sullivan. We keep both names, honor both legacies, but run it your way." It took 6 months to work out the details, but eventually we made it happen. Sullivan Hartwell Construction became the 3rd largest construction company in North Texas. Bradley kept working his way up through the ranks. No shortcuts, earning respect the same way everyone else did. 5 years after that morning in the boardroom, we employed 800 people across Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. We'd built schools, hospitals, highways, and bridges that'll outlast all of us. More importantly, we'd built something Robert would be proud of, a company that treated people right and kept its promises. Deanna still teaches 2nd grade, though she doesn't have to anymore. Says those kids keep her grounded, remind her what really matters. Jason graduated from Texas Tech with a business degree and surprised everyone by joining the company as a project coordinator. Sarah became a teacher like her mom, working with special needs kids in Dallas. Sometimes I drive past construction sites around North Texas and see our company signs. Sullivan Hartwell Construction, with our motto underneath, "Building to Last." It's a good feeling, knowing that years after we're gone, people will drive over bridges we built, work in offices we constructed, learn in schools we put up. The kid who told me I wasn't really family taught me something valuable. Sometimes the family that matters most isn't the one you're born into or adopted into, but the one you choose to build. Deanna, Jason, Sarah, Carlos, Wayne, Bradley, and 800 other people who show up every day because they know we've got their backs. Bradley's different now. Still smart, still ambitious, but he understands that relationships aren't just old school thinking, they're the foundation everything else is built on. Last month, he got engaged to a school teacher from Plano. Says he wants to raise kids who understand the value of hard work and keeping your word. Sometimes at company meetings, when I'm looking out at all those faces, workers who trusted me enough to take a chance on something new, young people starting their careers, veterans who've been with us since the beginning, I think about that morning when everything fell apart. How what felt like the worst day of my life turned into the beginning of something better than I'd ever imagined. That's the thing about construction. You can't build something lasting on a weak foundation. But when you start with solid ground and honest materials, you can create something that stands the test of time. Thanks for staying with my story. If you've ever felt like your loyalty wasn't valued or wondered if starting over was possible, I want you to know something. It's never too late to build the life you deserve. The skills and relationships you've earned over the years, those belong to you. Nobody can take away what you've learned or the reputation you've built through honest work. Sometimes the best foundation comes from having everything torn down first. That's when you find out what you're really made of and what you're truly capable of building.